Hey everyone, 99% of you watching aren't subscribed. Let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and at 1,000 subscribers, we'll drop special stories just for you.
The clinic lights hummed softly above Dr. Mara Ionescu as she sterilized her instruments for the third time. It was a nervous habit she'd never shaken, even after 15 years of treating creatures that most humans still insisted didn't exist. The sign outside glowed against the rain-slick street. Interstellar Veterinary Services, exotic and non-terrestrial specialists welcome. Most days, that meant routine strangeness. A sulfur-blooded grazer from Proxima Centauri with scale rot, a six-winged avian from Kepler, 442b who'd swallowed a comm beacon. Once, memorably, a sentient fog that needed its humidity recalibrated. Mara preferred aliens to humans. Aliens were honest about what they were. The door chime never rang when something didn't want to be heard. Tonight, there was no chime. The air in the reception area tightened, as if pressure had dropped by a fraction too small for instruments but large enough for nerves. The automatic door irised open in perfect silence. Rain blew in first. Then the figure stepped through. It was tall, nearly brushing the upper frame, but it moved with deliberate care, folding its limbs with mechanical grace. Its surface shimmered silver blue, like oil stretched thin over water. No clothing, no visible seams, just a continuous living sheen that caught and refracted the clinic's fluorescent light. 3 black eyes arranged in a triangular pattern adjusted independently. They focused on her. Mara resisted the urge to step back. "Good evening," she said, because that was what you said when something potentially catastrophic entered your workspace. "Do you have an appointment?" The being's voice did not pass through air. Instead, the air vibrated. "I am told," it said, tone flat and resonant, "that you repair biological malfunction." Her tablet pinged. "No appointment. Depends on the malfunction," she replied, keeping her voice level. "Species? I do not possess your word for it." "Off to a great start," she muttered. Louder. "Are you carbon-based?" "Yes." "Respiration?" "Yes." "Hostile?" A pause. "No." "Good. Then we're already ahead of Tuesday." She gestured toward the reinforced examination platform in the center of the room. "You can sit, stand, hover." The being studied the platform, then lowered itself onto it. Its body compressed slightly under gravity, then rebalanced. Up close, Mara saw faint irregular flickers beneath its surface, like faulty wiring under translucent skin. "What seems to be the problem?" she asked. The alien extended one limb toward her. It was seamless until, with a soft tearing sound, a line appeared down its length. The limb opened along that seemed like a petal unfurling. Inside was not flesh. A lattice of luminous fibers pulsed in chaotic rhythms, greens and violets misfiring, sections dimming and flaring unpredictably. Mara's professional instincts overrode her awe. "Oh," she breathed. "That's not good." "I am aware." She activated her scanner. Holographic overlays projected across the open structure, mapping stress fractures in the bioluminescent network. "You've got cascading destabilization," she said. "These nodes are failing. When they reach critical mass, the entire matrix collapses." "Yes." "How long?" 9 of your hours." Her eyes flicked up. "That's precise." "It is accelerating." She zoomed the scan, analyzing the pattern. "This is reparable," she said slowly. "You need a lattice reinforcement and a metabolic stabilizer. It'll be painful, but I've treated worse." "You came to the right place." There was a silence that felt deliberate. "I refuse treatment," the alien said. Mara blinked. "I'm sorry. I refuse treatment." She lowered the scanner. "You just told me your body's going to collapse in 9 hours." "That is correct." "And you don't want me to fix it." "That is correct." The hum of the lights seemed louder now. "Then why?" she asked carefully. "Did you walk into my clinic?" The alien's 3 eyes adjusted, focusing tighter on her face. "Because you must understand why I refuse." Something in its tone had changed. Not volume, not frequency. "Wait." Mara folded her arms, buying time. "Understand what?" "I can't force treatment on a sentient being. But if you're here, you clearly don't want to dissolve on a sidewalk somewhere. I do not wish to dissolve anonymously, it replied. Ah, there it was. Not fear. Not quite. Intent. She studied the failing lattice again. The degradation wasn't random. It looked almost patterned. Was this an accident? She asked quietly. No. Her stomach tightened. You did this. Yes. You damaged yourself. Yes. Why? The alien retracted its limbs slightly. Though the seam remained open, the fibers still flickering toward entropy. In my culture, it said, cessation is not permitted. Mara leaned against the counter behind her. Cessation as in death? Yes. Is that a law or a biological problem? Yes. She almost laughed. You're going to have to be more specific. The alien tilted its upper body a few degrees, perhaps the equivalent of curiosity. You experience termination of consciousness at the end of biological function, it said. Generally, yes. We do not. The word settled into the room like a dropped instrument. You don't die, she said. No. Mara looked at the unraveling light beneath its skin. Then what exactly is going to happen in 9 hours? The alien's eyes dimmed infinitesimally. That, it said, depends on you. That depends on you. The words lingered in the air long after the alien finished speaking. Mara straightened slowly. Start talking. The alien withdrew its limb halfway, though the seam remained open. The lattice inside sputtered and flared like a dying constellation. I am of the continuum, it said. That's a philosophy or a species? Yes. She exhaled through her nose. Let's try this differently. Are there more of you? Yes. Where? Distributed. Across space? Yes. Across time? A pause. Yes. Mara stopped asking questions for a moment. That answer had not felt metaphorical. The alien continued. Our biological forms are temporary vessels. When degradation reaches a critical threshold, our consciousness disengages and transfers to a newly prepared matrix. The transition is seamless. Like uploading? She asked. A crude approximation, but acceptable. And you remember everything. Yes. All of it. Yes. She tried to imagine it. Every childhood, every friendship, every mistake, every humiliation, every grief. Not dulled by time, not blurred by fading memory, carried forward with perfect clarity. How long has your species existed? She asked. From your frame of reference, approximately 200,000 of your years. And individuals? Indefinite. The clinical part of her brain was still analyzing the failing lattice. The human part was stuck on one word. Indefinite. So when your body fails, she said slowly, you don't die. You just move. Yes. And if I repair you, this form will stabilize. It will persist for approximately 1,000 of your years, after which I will transfer as expected. And if I don't? The alien's eyes shifted, all three locking onto her with unsettling unity. The chain will sever. She frowned. Explain that. Our transfer requires biological coherence at the moment of collapse. The degradation I have initiated is designed to prevent that coherence. You sabotage your own transition. Yes. Mara's mouth went dry. So this is an accident. It's engineered. Yes. For what purpose? The alien's voice lowered, not in volume, but in resonance. The vibrations felt closer to her bones. To end. The word hit harder than she expected. You're telling me your entire species is immortal, she said carefully, and you want to be the exception. Yes. Why? The lattice inside its limb flickered violently, a section dimming permanently before her eyes. Accumulation, it said. Of what? Experience. That's supposed to be a good thing. It is, the alien replied. At first. Mara pulled a stool closer and sat. How many times have you transferred? 4,712. Her throat tightened. And you remember every single one? Yes. Your first body? Yes. Your first loss. Yes. Your worst mistake. Yes. No hesitation. No distortion. She thought about her own worst memory, holding her father's hand in a hospital room while machines breathed for him. Even that memory had softened around the edges with time. It no longer cut with the same sharpness. Now imagine if it never dulled, if it remained as vivid as the moment it happened. For us, the alien continued, novelty diminishes. We have loved thousands. We have witnessed stars ignite and collapse. We have made art beyond your spectrum of perception. We have solved problems your species has not yet conceived. That sounds extraordinary. It becomes repetitive. The alien's gaze shifted toward the rain-streaked window. Entropy is not limited to matter, it said. It applies to meaning. Mara felt a chill that had nothing to do with the clinic's temperature. You're bored, she said quietly. The alien's eyes flickered. No. Then what? I am complete. The words landed differently than she expected. Not despair. Not panic. Resolution. In our society, it continued, cessation is considered pathology. To desire non-continuation is to be malfunctioning. We are repaired. Against your will? Yes. Mara's jaw tightened. That sounds familiar. We are told that existence is inherently preferable to non-existence. And you disagree. Yes. Why? The alien's limb trembled. More fibers went dark. Because infinity is not a gift without contrast, it said. Without an ending, there is no urgency. Without urgency, there is no intensity. Without intensity, there is no value. Mara felt something twist in her chest. You envy us, she said. Yes. Because we die. Yes. She stared at the being in front of her, an entity older than human civilization, older than most of Earth's cities, sitting quietly on her reinforced exam table like a tired traveler. We don't usually see death as an advantage, she said. You fear it. Constantly. And yet, the alien said, you create as though time is precious. You love as though it is limited. You forgive because there may not be another opportunity. Mara swallowed. You've been studying us. Yes. And you decided you want that. Yes. To be finite. Yes. The monitor beside them beeped sharply as another section of the lattice destabilized. She glanced at it. You're running out of time. Yes. If your people find out you came here, they will not. How can you be sure? If transfer does not occur, there is no signal. No backup. No. She stood and began pacing again. You're asking me to do nothing, she said. To let a treatable condition take you. I am asking you not to interfere. That's the same thing. It is not. She stopped in front of him. To me, it is. The alien's three eyes softened, not in shape, but in luminosity. For 4,712 lives, it said, I have persisted. I have adapted. I have endured. I have accumulated. I have fulfilled every obligation required by my society. It paused. I would like for once to conclude. The word conclude felt surgical in its precision. Not collapse. Not escape. Conclude. Mara looked at the failing light beneath its skin. You're not afraid? She asked. A long silence stretched between them. Yes, it said at last. That answer surprised her more than anything else. You don't know what happens, she said. No, there might be nothing. Yes. That doesn't terrify you. It does. The alien met her gaze fully. But terror is sharp, it said. I have not felt sharpness in a very long time. Another section of the lattice dimmed permanently. Mara checked the time. 8 hours left. She felt the weight of what was coming settle heavily over her shoulders. For the first time since opening this clinic, she wasn't being asked to save a life. She was being asked to respect a death. The stabilization monitor pulsed amber. 7 hours, 42 minutes. Mara stood at the diagnostic console, staring at the projected model of the alien's lattice. Every branching filament was mapped in precise light. Every fracture glowed in warning red. Reparable. Completely reparable. She had corrected worse damage on a methane breeder who'd been stepped on by its own herd. She had rebuilt neural webs from electrical storms. She had once reassembled a silicon-based spinal array using nothing but microforceps and stubbornness. This was not beyond her. That was the problem. She turned toward the alien. "You understand what you're asking me to do," she said. "Yes. You're asking me to violate my oath. I am asking you to refrain from action. That's semantics. It is a distinction." "No," she snapped. "It's a loophole." The alien's eyes did not flare. They simply watched her, steady and unblinking. Mara dragged a hand through her hair and began pacing the length of the room again. "When I graduated," she said, "I swore to alleviate suffering, to preserve life when possible, to intervene when a body fails." "Yes, you're suffering." "Yes, your body is failing." "Yes, and I can intervene." "Yes." She stopped pacing. "So, if I don't," she said quietly, "I'm choosing not to preserve life." The alien's voice vibrated softly. "You are choosing not to impose it." That stung. "You think I'd be imposing existence on you?" "Yes." The word landed without accusation, without judgment, just fact. Mara folded her arms tightly across her chest. "You don't get to flip this on me," she said. "I didn't create your immortality. I didn't make your society outlaw death." "No. Then why me?" The alien shifted slightly on the examination platform. Its surface rippled, momentarily destabilizing before smoothing again. "Because your species understands termination," it said. "You coexist with it. That doesn't mean we like it. You do not attempt to eradicate it entirely." She hesitated. "Actually," she said, "we try very hard." The alien tilted its upper body a fraction. "But you do not treat mortality as malfunction," it replied. "You treat premature mortality as tragedy." The distinction lodged uncomfortably in her thoughts. Another alert pulsed across the monitor. Structural integrity, declining at an increasing rate. Mara stepped closer to the table and examined the exposed lattice again. Sections were no longer flickering. They were simply dark. "How did you sabotage it?" she asked. "I introduced recursive instability in the coherence nodes. In English, I ensure that at the point of systemic failure, signal transmission will fragment rather than consolidate." She let out a slow breath. "You engineered it carefully." "Yes." "So if I stabilize the lattice, the recursive instability will dissolve, and you'll transfer like normal." "Yes." She imagined it. The alien enduring agonizing repair, stabilizing for centuries, eventually degrading again, this time under supervision of its own kind, then transferring into a new vessel, memory intact, burden intact. "You'd remember this," she said. "Yes." "You'd remember that you tried to end." "Yes." "And how would that feel?" The alien paused, like standing in an unopened door. The metaphor made her chest ache. "You think it'll be different on the other side?" she asked. "I do not know. That uncertainty doesn't bother you. It is the point." Mara stared at it. For her entire career, uncertainty had been the enemy. Unknown pathogens, unfamiliar anatomies, unpredictable reactions. But this being was craving uncertainty, because it had none. She moved to the instrument tray and ran her fingers over the injectors. 3 precise doses, 1 lattice sealant. She could begin in seconds. The alien watched her hands. "Dr. Ionescu," it said softly, "if you begin, I will not resist." She froze. "I will endure," it continued, "as I've endured every prior transition." That was somehow worse. "You're putting this on me," she said. "No." "Yes," she insisted. "If I fix you, you live. If I don't, you die." "Yes." "That's not neutral. Neither is existence." Silence filled the room. Rain tapped faintly against the window. "You know what scares me?" she said finally. "Yes." "That I might regret either choice." "That is inevitable." She laughed, short and humorless. "Great." Another section of lattice dimmed. The monitor chimed again, sharper this time. 7 hours, 12 minutes. She walked back to the console and pulled up projections. If I do nothing, she said, how much pain are you in? Within tolerable range. And when collapse accelerates, it will increase. To what level? Severe. Mara clenched her jaw. I won't let you suffer needlessly, she said. I am not requesting suffering. You're guaranteeing it. Yes. The honesty was relentless. Why not ask for euthanasia? She demanded. If your goal is cessation, I could administer something painless. That would constitute intervention, and it would convert this into an act of assisted termination, and that's worse. For you? She stared at him. You're protecting me. Yes. The room felt smaller. I came here, the alien said, because you are not bound by continuum doctrine, but you are bound by your own. And you think my doctrine allows this. I believe it allows choice. Mara sank back onto the stool. Choice. In school, ethics have been case studies and hypotheticals. What if the animal cannot consent? What if the owner demands feudal treatment? What if prolonging life extends suffering? They had never covered. What if the patient is immortal and tired? She looked up at the alien. Are you depressed? She asked bluntly. No. Suicidal? No. Then what is this? The alien's eyes brightened faintly, as if searching for the precise word. Completion, it said. The certainty in that answer unsettled her more than despair would have. Another alert pulsed. Structural coherence at 62%. The degradation curve was steepening. Mara stood slowly and stepped back to the examination table. You understand, she said, voice tight, that once I decide not to intervene, there's a point of no return. Yes. And if I change my mind after that, you will be too late. Her hands trembled slightly. For someone who's lived nearly 5,000 lifetimes, she said, you're remarkably calm. The alien's gaze softened again. I am not calm, it replied. I am resolved. That difference hung between them like a blade. Mara looked from the alien to the instruments, from the instruments to the failing lattice. 2 paths, both irreversible. She realized something then, something that made her breath catch. For the first time in her career, saving a life might be the selfish option. The monitor chimed again. 6 hours, 48 minutes. The ethical wall stood in front of her, solid, immovable, and she had to decide whether to climb it or step aside. 6 hours, 12 minutes. The number hovered in the corner of the monitor, like a countdown to something neither of them could fully name. Mara stood motionless beside the instrument tray. The 3 injectors lay aligned in perfect order. Lattice sealant, metabolic stabilizer, neural coherence anchor. She had already calculated the dosages twice. Her hands knew the sequence by muscle memory. The alien's exposed limb trembled. More of the luminous fibers had gone dark, leaving widening voids in the intricate web. Structural integrity at 58%. The monitor announced. Mara muted it. Silence felt more honest. She turned to the alien. We're approaching the irreversible threshold. Yes. After 40% coherence loss, even I won't be able to restore transfer integrity. Yes. You understand that once we cross that line, this becomes final? Yes. The repetition no longer irritated her. It steadied her. There was no hidden hesitation in the alien's answers, no flicker of doubt beneath its resolve, only fear. She could see it now, not in its voice, but in the micro-fluctuations of light across its surface, tiny tremors of instability that weren't entirely biological. You're afraid, she said quietly. Yes. Of pain. No. Of nothingness? A pause. Yes. The honesty was immediate. Mara nodded. Good. The alien's eyes shifted slightly. Good. Yes. If you weren't afraid, I'd assume this was an error in judgment. Another section of the lattice blinked out. 52%. She stepped closer to the examination table and rested her palms against its cool edge. Where I come from, she said, We don't get to choose the timing most of the time. Disease, accidents, entropy. We fight it because it steals time we weren't ready to lose. Yes, but sometimes, she continued, voice tightening, when someone is suffering and there's no recovery, we let them go. You equate me with a terminal patient. I'm equating you with someone who has autonomy. The alien absorbed that. Autonomy. It repeated softly. Yes, the right to decide what happens to your own existence. In the continuum, it said, existence is communal property. Mara felt a flash of anger at that. You're not communal property, she said. Not here. The monitor pulsed again. 49%. The slope of decline was accelerating. The alien surface began to lose its smooth cohesion. Light leaked faintly through hairline fractures across its torso. Pain levels, she asked. Elevating. Scale. Severe. Her jaw tightened. She reached for a smaller injector. Analgesic, non-stabilizing. This won't interfere with the degradation cascade, she said. It'll just dull the pain. The alien studied her. That is intervention. It's compassion. A long pause. Acceptable, it said. She administered the analgesic carefully into an intact node. The lattice flickered, but did not stabilize. The recursive instability continued its quiet work. 46%. The alien exhaled, a subtle vibration of air. Pain reduced, it said. Good. Mara stepped back again, forcing her hands away from the tray of life-saving instruments. This is the hardest part of my job, she admitted. To witness suffering, to not fix it. The alien's 3 eyes focused on her face with unusual intensity. In my prior lifetimes, it said, I have commanded fleets. I have negotiated planetary unifications. I have composed symphonies using stellar radiation. A fracture of light ran down its side. I have never been permitted to stop. 43%. The irreversible threshold loomed. Mara's heart pounded loud enough she could hear in her ears. You still have time to change your mind, she said. Yes. Say the word and I'll begin. The alien's gaze drifted toward the rain-streaked window. Beyond it, the city lights shimmered, brief, flickering, finite. Your species compresses meaning into short intervals, it said faintly. You cherish because you must. 41%. I wish to understand that from within, it continued, even if only in this final moment. The monitor chimed. 39%. Mara closed her eyes. The threshold had passed. She opened them again slowly. Her hands dropped from the instruments completely. It's irreversible now, she said, her voice barely steady. Yes. There was no panic in the alien's tone, only presence. The degradation accelerated. The lattice unraveled visibly now, luminous threads dissolving into drifting particles inside its translucent body. Fear, it whispered. It is sharp. Yes, she said softly. That's how you know you're alive. Its eyes dimmed, but they remained focused on her. For the first time, it said, voice weakening, my future is not predetermined. Light began leaking from the fractures in its form, tiny silver motes rising like dust in sunlight. Dr. Ionescu, I'm here. Thank you for not repairing me. Her throat tightened. Thank you for trusting me, she replied. The alien structure lost cohesion rapidly now. Its outline blurred, edges dissolving into radiant mist. Do you regret? She asked. A final pause. No. The word vibrated faintly through the room. The lattice collapsed inward, not with violence, but with release. The body disintegrated into a cloud of silver particles that shimmered briefly in the clinic light. Then they faded. No surge of energy. No transfer pulse. No signal. The monitors flattened into silence. Mara stood alone in the containment field, her hands trembling at her sides. She had saved thousands of lives in this room. Tonight, she had done something different. She had honored a choice. Outside, the rain slowed. The city lights beyond the glass glowed fragile and finite against the dark. For the first time in years, the hum of mortality did not feel like a flaw in the universe. It felt like its sharpest edge.